One of the fun features of this pattern is its border. I'll show you how to work a double border or an envelope border around this Montana throw. And the purpose of the double border is to hide all of these ends, so you will not have to weave in any ends at all. We're just going to encase those within a double thick border, and I'll show you how to do that. So this is the right side of my work. I'm going to start on the wrong side of my work, and I'm going to start with the second to last single crochet that I worked of the row. With a slip knot on my hook, I'm just going to join and make a double crochet around the post of this single crochet. So I'm just working around the post. First I'll make a double crochet, and then I'll do a chain 2, make another double crochet around that same stitch, and that's going to be our first corner. And now I'm going to work, turn it to the side like this so I can work along this side edge. Just move these little ends out of your way. So I'm going to continue down in the second single crochet, the second to last one of all of these rows. And I'm just going to work around the posts of those stitches like this. With a front post double crochet. But we're working it around the posts of the single crochet stitches, and we're also working it along the side edge or the vertical edge and not the horizontal edge as you normally would. And you're going to make one for each row. Once you get to the corner, you'll make another corner just like we did that first corner, and that will be a double crochet, chain 2, and a double crochet. Now this is the first foundation row that we did, the setup row. So we are going to work a double crochet into each of these stitches too. These will be like the unused loops of the starting chain. And then if you see, we have a front loop and a back loop. We're going to work into the front loops only and leave those back loops open so we can work into those for the second part of the border. So work a double crochet into each front loop across. Once you've worked across the bottom, I'm going to rotate your piece again. We'll make another corner right here around the post. So a double crochet, chain 2, and a double crochet all around the same stitch to make that corner. And then we're going to do the same thing along this other edge by working front post double crochet stitches around the post of the single crochets. again, another corner. So double crochet, chain 2, double crochet. And then on the last row, we are going to work into the front loop of each stitch across of the last row of your blanket. So front loop only. We're going to leave the back loop unworked for when we turn our piece around and make the second border. Okay, so I made one double crochet in the front loop of each of these stitches, and now I can join my round with a slip stitch. So I'll just join to the top of that starting double crochet that I did at the beginning of the round. At this point, you will make one more round of double crochets in each double crochet of this round that we made. You don't have to worry about going into the front or back loops. You can go in through both loops as a normal double crochet, and that second round is just going to add a little bit of height so you have a nice thick border. And I'm going to work on my border number 2. So we'll do that with the right side of our work facing, and we're just going to begin in the corner like we did with border number 1. A new strand of yarn on my hook, and I'm going to join the same way I did before with a double crochet to make another corner. So we can just join around that same post where we did the first one, the base of that post. And I'll do a double crochet, chain 2, and double crochet. Rotate my work, and I'm going to start working along the vertical edge like we did with border round 1. So move these tails out of your way and work your double crochets around. This is the first border I made. You're going to work around the base of these post stitches. So just right in there, insert your hook right around the base of those post stitches. You're not really working into a stitch. You're working into the base of a post stitch, and you have to kind of just feel around, and where a stitch or a post of a stitch kind of presents itself is where you're going to put your hook in and just work around that post. And you can see that we're only working with those, where those first 2 single crochets are, where it's kind of like the side and it's not part of the main stitch pattern. So that's why we did those first 2 single crochets at the beginning of the color pattern, so we can work our border over those. So they're almost like selvage stitches. Okay, and then we're just going to continue working post stitches until we get to the corner, and then I'm going to do a corner, double crochet, chain 2, double crochet. Now along the bottom edge, we left the back loops unworked, so we can work our double crochets into on this side, because now we're on the front side, on the right side. Now these are the front loops, but when we were working on the wrong side, they were the back loops. So now we're working into these unused loops from border round 1. They're right here. So just work a double crochet into each one of those. We're going to work another corner opposite the corner from border round 1 and rotate your work. Now we're going to do the same thing down the vertical side. Just find the base of the post stitch from border round 1 and work your post stitches around the same post. It can be tricky to work around these posts down the vertical edge of your blanket. So it doesn't have to be perfect. If you miss one, or if you are off center a little bit, because this is just to hide those ends and those 2 single crochets at the beginning and end of the row, you're not gonna, it's very forgiving, so you're not gonna really see any mistakes. So at this point, just try to get them in as straight and even as you can, because we can work with any mistakes that we made when we do the second round. Okay, now I'm coming around again. I'm just going to work into the front loops once more. So at this point, I worked my first border along the wrong side of my work, and then I just added another round of double crochets in each one of the double crochets that we worked along the vertical edge and in the back loops of the tops and bottom of your blanket. So if you don't have the exact stitch count, if you are maybe 1 or 2 short on this side than you are on this side, when you get to this round, this second round, that's when you can make sure your stitch count is right. So you should have the same amount of double crochets on both vertical edges of your blanket and both horizontal edges of your blanket. And if you missed one or added an extra, then you can correct that on this round. So if you made 2 double crochets where you should only have had 1, then you can just do 1 decrease right here. So that way you can correct any little flaws that you have. So on this very last round, you should have the same number of stitches on the front, on the top and bottom, both sides, and then you need to do the same thing on the front side of your work. So I made my double crochets along the vertical edges and the horizontal edges, and then when I did this other round, I made sure that I have the same number of stitches as I did on the back border. So now the last step to this double border is to join the piece that we worked on the right side of our work with the piece that we worked on the wrong side of our work. So you're just going to start where you left off. So here's where your little ends are going to just get encased right into that border. And you can even cut these shorter if you want. You can cut them as short as you want. They're not going anywhere. So now all we have to do is join. I'm starting in the corner. So I'm just going to join one corner with the other corner with a slip stitch. And then you can work on one or two more slip stitches in that corner, so you can turn the corner. And then you're going to join this row with this row. So start with working into the back loop of the row closest to you and into the front loop of the round furthest from you and slip stitch. So you're grabbing one loop of each border round and just joining that with a slip stitch. And just push those little ends in as you move along. And then continue that all the way across. This has been Liz with Premier Yarns, and thanks for watching how to make the Montana throw in the overlay mosaic crochet technique. See you next time.